Good evening and welcome to Thursday Night Savage Universe. I am Jam, and with me tonight I have Star Anvil Studios. I have Ross and Brandon here, and then am I pronouncing this right? It's Christopher.
Hey,
that's
perfect.
Excellent. I'm putting the right emphasis on the right syllable. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's talk about some science fiction. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yes, so many bald dudes.
right? Gorgeous facial hair. We can't have it all. If we had long, luscious locks on top too, it'd just be too much.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually celebrating a little bit because I got my comp copies of Savage Rift's Land of a Thousand Islands and Terror in the Dark Frontier, both of which I worked on. So
it's so gorgeous.
Just kidding.
Fantastic. Love Terror on the Dark Frontier as a sandbox campaign, and then you and I have talked about how much I love South America. I just started the Savage Rifts game, and one of my players is playing a demigod out of the book.
Nice.
Daughter of Hades. Name is Mercy Jackson.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
just avoiding the trademark by that much.
That's right. Just so good. Threading the needle there. Brandon, how are you doing tonight?
I'm just fantastic.
Excellent. Landauer, you just flew in from Gamma?
Yeah, so my first time, it was actually...
his arms tired.
I was thinking the same thing.
No one has ever accused me of exercising to exhaustion ever, so thank you. I got to see Thousand Islands in person. And oh my God, so the Terror on the Dark Frontier box, it's very super exciting because that is the first Rifts adventure thing ever published, ever. And there's a little stompy robot head in that box you could assemble yourself. So we had that out on the table, and everybody came over and played it. Like, you almost can't not touch it. You're like,
the
oh my
Spider
God,
Skullwalker.
Yes. So it looks just as great on the table. And Simon was beating himself up. He's like, I could have made the legs better. And I'm like, oh Simon. So he's re-engineering it. But that was the first time that someone floated the idea of hey, could you guys do a really, really big pawn? Will it work? Can we do a sheet of pawn, one pawn on this whole big sheet? And so I think we did a big mini dragon on one of the ones, and that worked out okay. That didn't kill anything. And then the next one was, can you do 3D pawns? And so that was the first 3D pawn that we've done that's got all dimensions, right? And it looks great in person. So it was a lot of fun. We got I think what I took away from Gamma was that there's a lot of interest in stompy robots. So it's the right show to talk about it. For everybody, all over the industry, there's kind of it's coming back. So yeah, it definitely fits that we're talking about sci-fi tonight.
That's right. Well, speaking of sci-fi, we have the Savage World Sci-Fi Companion on Kickstarter right now. I'm putting that link in the chat. It is almost to $250,000 with 13 days to go.
If I may, Daryl spoke to myself and Mike Lafferty over on the Wild Wildcards podcast about this particular companion, and Mike and I both backed it during that show. So
that's fantastic. It is so cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it, to having it. I just got my copy of the Horror Companion in. And I have a vested interest in it. I got to write the big stompy robot adventure for the Sci-Fi Companion, which if you back at certain levels, you will get.
I backed at max, I get it all.
That's right.
I've been waiting for it for quite some time.
And I know that JM can write some really good adventures.
Oh, thanks,
so this is the thing. So his adventure came in, and Daryl's like, oh, it was great. And he got it into me weeks early. Which was a dig at me, was I was supposed to get mine in before I left for Gamma, and I did not. But I'm like, mine's about Dune, and I need to see the new Dune movie first. That was my excuse. So I have not seen the new Dune movie yet. I'm waiting. I read the book, so spoilers can't really hurt me. But I don't know. Sci-fi is just a very compelling genre, and I think of all the companions, we know there's a fan base for all the other ones, but the rapidity of the sci-fi folks for this one to come out, I think has been more pronounced than the other companions. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. I mean, the 2,000, almost 2,600 and almost 250K That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
We were smart and didn't do stretch goals and just put it all up front. And but because this is a show about the aces, I will talk no more about the amazing product you can go buy over here, and we will talk about the amazing product you can buy from these fellas, because they have a lot of it and very on theme for sci-fi. So.
I will say, Knights of the Dinner Table. Yes, you can totally bribe me. I will run that adventure as a hit me with your one shot. You let me know when would be good, and I will see if we can't make that happen. And Chris, like you were saying, man, sci-fi means so much to so many different people. It's like fantasy. We have our ideas, right? Like we know what fantasy is, but sci-fi is everything from Altered Carbon to Star Wars to Star Trek to BattleTech to Dune to Alien to Buck Rogers. There's so much. And so the Sci-Fi Companion is going to try and cover all of them. And,
so I don't know if it's been announced because I've been gone and haven't been doing my job of like doing the little like sneaky updates. So you know how we said it was going to be like a 200 plus page book? Yet no, it's 300 or more now.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Give me all the sci-fi goodness.
It's a chunky monkey, and I think that also means that we have to like charge a little more for it at retail. So get the Kickstarter now because the price ain't changing on the Kickstarter. We cannot do that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a hefty little puppy, which is exciting, and that's like not even including all the fluff that you and I are writing. So
right.
All right, book now. Okay,
let's talk about Star Anvil Studios, guys. I know we're going to talk about Saints and Synners, but you laid out a really exciting project timeline for 2024. So why don't you guys give us an overview of who you are as Star Anvil Studios, and let's talk about this project timeline here. What's coming out from Star Anvil Studios?
The somewhat, how Doctor Who has that whole timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff?
Yeah.
That's our timeline.
That's right. Jeremy Bearimy, right? Like we're currently in every Thursday.
Ross, you want to go through the projected wishful timeline?
Sure, but he did ask us to talk about who we are. So
go ahead.
I can. I will start. Hi, I'm Ross Watson. I've been in the gaming industry a really long time. You might know me from Savage Worlds products such as Savage Rifts, like a lot of Savage Rifts.
Savage Rifts.
Weird War 1, I believe. Last Parsec, Lankamar. Accursed was a setting that I created for Savage Worlds. And quite a few other products, including like Star Wars: Edge of the Empire and all the 40K role playing games and all that stuff. So that's my resume.
World War II, Electric Boogaloo.
No, I didn't do World War II. I just did the first one. Weird War. Yeah. And then there's Brandon, my partner.
My resume is about this long. So I just had these ideas for science. I'm Brandon, Star Anvil Studios, and this guy who's been sharing art for the last 5-6 years on Facebook about this project I'm going to do. It's almost done now. But I've done the Saints and Synners Jumpstart, Knights Arcanum. I mostly wrote Saints and Synners. Those are the parts that the idea for those, and I have all these ideas, and no one wants to hire idea guys, so you have to find partners and hire them, and that's how Ross and I got involved. I had him writing Knights Arcanum for me, and then we started clicking so well together. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind partnering up instead of always working separately, this thing. And he, for some reason, doesn't leave me.
I will echo Billy Berserker. Brandon is an amazing art director. And part of the reason why he shares all the art is because he generates all this art with his very talented team of artists. And the look of Star Anvil Studios is due entirely to him. So
awesome.
Now that we have
that
explained who we are, let's talk about Star Anvil Studios and what's coming up, because there's a lot of Savage Worlds goodness on the horizon for Star Anvil Studios. So the very first thing we're going to talk about, Brandon, is
Savage Secret World.
That's right, the Secret World RPG for Savage Worlds. It's honestly, I think we're both very excited to present the Secret World into this rule system. We had some really great team members work on it, guys like Daryl Hardy and Sean and Robin Bircher, and a few other folks who do a lot of work with Savage Worlds. And it's going to be really sweet, and it's going to have a forward in it from Shane Hensley. So
awesome,
even more amazing.
So for those people who don't know, that's a pretty major licensed property. Like you guys
Yeah.
are actually having to like wear big boy and girl pants and work with. Is it Funcom who has the
Yes.
license? Yeah. So
Funcom,
what's that
yeah.
like? What's it like being cool enough that you actually have to, do all the licensing and IP protection stuff? Because that's a whole different level of being professional, is actually getting to play in someone else's sandbox.
So the good thing is, the funny thing is, people ask me, "How'd you get the license?" I said I emailed them, and that's really all it was. It came down to I asked, and they said yes. But they're, other than the fact that they're super busy, they got Dune coming out and all these other things. It takes a while to get things done because literally they're taking their spare time to look over our project, and we're not making them, millions of dollars.
Right.
They're wonderful. It's a little bit slow process, but they're wonderful. And the only tricky part is taking that time to go through it, to send it in. The lawyer's got to look at things. Yeah, that is a headache, but it's part. I knew that going into it. And so, yeah, they're great. It's a good situation. We even have another licensee we may work on in the future. So cool things will come from that, but that's further down. So, but it taught me a lot how to negotiate for the next contract. I knew what I didn't want to let happen or what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
And I had a baseline of, if this big company asked for this much and this other company asked for this much, I would know if they were kind of how far out of the range of what I thought reality might be at that point.
The Secret World is urban fantasy is really like the best way to describe it. It is our world, but like all the conspiracy theories are true.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cryptids running around, and you guys are playing bees, and Brandon can explain what bees are.
So the bees are these people who are gifted by Gaia's. Basically, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and Gaia has invested power into these people to try and, let's say, stem the tide of what's going on. I call it heroic horror, because these bees are very powerful. I mean, they can't die. You cannot die. So we had to come up with a different mechanic to cover that.
Yeah,
to make it interesting.
You will eventually lose the character.
You can lose the character.
Yes.
To one side or the other, let's put it that way. And someone did ask, will there be factions?
Yeah, I was going to say we had
yes,
Venkel was asking that.
Yes, there are. And there are ways that plays into the game. In fact, one little thing I'll say more about it. I don't want to delve too much into it right now, but because sci-fi, but whatever we were going to talk about, is that one thing I came up with is when you play your faction, and it's a little tweak that Ross doesn't know. I'm adding a paragraph in there. Basically, when you play your faction, and it's not necessarily good for you or for the rest of the people in your party, it's like playing a hindrance. You should get a Benny, because that's how that will. We have the rule, like, don't be a jerk, but let's play the fact that this faction won't always want to help that faction. It's the end of the world, but the Illuminati want artifacts of power. The Templar want to kill the monsters, but what if the monsters attach the artifact of power? Who gets it? I mean, there's going to be a little.
They have their own agendas, and that's represented in the game. So
yes.
Any thoughts on having Foundry modules for the stuff?
Oh, I'd love to. Do you know anybody who can do it for us?
That's right.
For free?
The programming is expensive.
Put us in touch with somebody, and we can discuss it. But neither Brandon nor I have that skill set.
Yeah, it's not a matter of no. It's a matter of, let's get a few things out first. Let's kind of get more established, and we'll take a look at it. If it's feasible, sure. But if it's going to cost us an arm and a leg, and I'll be outside working an extra job to pay for it, no.
So yeah, Savage Secret World is coming soon, and it is basically done. We just need to get a few things out of the way, and we can launch that Kickstarter soon. I don't know when exactly, but soon.
Super soon.
Well, it'll definitely be in the newsletter, guys. So
when will then be now?
Right, soon.
Right, you know better than to ask what soon means, JM. That's part of. There's a trademark next to that word around Pinnacle headquarters.
That's right. That's
soon.
right.
That's all you're gonna get.
That's always the joke from since Chaosium came out. When will that be out? Next year.
Is it
Since
next year?
1978, it's still next year.
The next thing on the horizon after Savage Secret World is going to be a product for Savage Supers.
Oh, so good.
It's called Enemies Unleashed. It is a book of supervillains that you can plug into any campaign. The core conceit here is that there was a prison and there was a prison break. So all of the supervillains in the book are escapees from this particular prison break. And the product tells you about the prison, tells you about what happened during the break, like who organized it, who participated, etc. And then each of the villains that we have inside, they talk about like what their role was in the, not only their background and their powers and motivations, all that stuff is also there, but also, you know, how or were they involved in the breakout, and then lastly, whether or not they could be redeemed.
Which I really like that part.
Yeah,
That's the best
I like
part,
that
honestly.
a lot.
I mean, we've talked a little bit about it because there's a similar redemption kind of aspect to like necessary evil, but I think that's fantastic. Like the one, I think in almost all of other forms of in engaging with supers, like comics and literature, villains are just more interestingly written. They kind of have to be. You know, the heroes could be a little more self-inserty, open for that thing, so they're a little more bland intentionally. But yeah, I mean, I think a big book of villains is kind of that's what drives the plots, right? That's what makes the interesting challenges. And then not even, you know, I think some of the ideas I like exploring in RPGs are how do you play where just killing it is not the answer, the best answer. So having super villains where they're hard to kill, yeah, I think you might be able to actually make them better, or you know, walk them back from the maniacal edge. Which I hope someone would walk me back from one of these days.
Well, we will see. We'll see how it goes. If it's really successful, we have a lot of ideas to follow it up with. But it's basically done. It's all written. It's all edited. We have all the artwork. It just needs a little bit of layout, and it'll be ready to roll.
What are you guys using for your software? Do you guys do InDesign or yeah?
Nice.
Speaking of villains, Adobe cough.
The greatest villain of all time.
I'm going to let Brandon talk about Saints and Synners because that is really his baby. I was glad to help get that product across the finish line, but and also again, we had some really talented writers work with us, like Daryl Hardy. I cannot stress enough how awesome Daryl Hardy is.
That dude's awesome.
But you guys can't have him. I've got to line up for 4 projects now.
The thing with Daryl is he has one of the most amazing resumes on things he's worked on across the gaming industry. Like his board game resume is envious of anybody in that industry, and you would never know it. He is the most humble, like never talks about the stuff he does, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I knew him when he did Ghost Punchers, and I was like, oh, that's the Ghost Punchers dude. And they're like, that's all you know him from? Like, I got done that because, like, here's a shelf of the Daryl Hardy things that he's worked on. And yeah, he gets around. He's worked on major licenses and he just never brags about any of it. So
he also worked on Last Parsec. So for
so good.
And then there's the fantastic artists we have, like Annie Ghosh, who now does stuff for Pinnacle.
Ron Root.
Ron Root, who now does stuff for Pinnacle.
Yeah, did we steal those?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Anyway, but yeah, there some great guys, and then Ben Worrell, who also does a lot for us too. So
yeah, Brandon does have very good taste in art, and it might have leaked over to the people who put in art requests. But yeah, a lot of the Aniwa stuff is the newer stuff that looks really, really good. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Saints and Synners and art, we've got some stuff to show off. You want to?
Let's do that.
You want to? All right, let's jump into that.
Tell everybody what it's about as we go through this.
So Saints and Synners, and this is for the corporate worlds. I'll go on that. So Saints and Synners was inspired by Star Wars, especially if you've watched The Mandalorian. This was written long before that, but The Mandalorian, or if you think about like the cantina scenes, the criminal element of sci-fi was more my overall focus when I started it. And that's why it was called Saints and Synners, because the criminal element has gotten so much out of hand, and the government doesn't have enough people. They created this agency called Special Agent Intergalactic Task Force. But that's easier to just say Saint. And everyone who works for the syndicate is called, for short slang, a sinner. And so they are actually doing that sort of Dirty Dozen leverage / what's the Suicide Squad thing. They took the criminals and said, infiltrate the crime guys, pretend you're one of them, and then take them out from the inside and burn them down. And so that's kind of the idea. And when this big galactic war happened, you got they abandoned the frontier out here, and the corporate worlds took over here. And that leads us to these guys right here. This is human resources.
Remember, though, they're on the side of the company now.
Oh, they
That is
absolutely
the-
are.
That is the conversation that Brandon and I were having before you jumped on.
So in the corporate world, you are an employee, you are not a citizen. And they don't mind. And the best way to describe the corporate worlds, it is capitalism unrestrained. There is no limits to what they can do. And the human resources lady sitting there, she is actually a telepath. So she can make sure you really are saying you're going to do the good things that you say you're going to do, or you're loyal to the company. And the guy standing behind her, that's security. Vizon is the name of the company. This is a guy here who is the security. He's there to question your loyalty to the company today. And she doesn't believe you. And if they don't believe you and you get fired, they will kill you. I mean, Vizon's the evil of all the evil corporations. They're the worst.
They're the most evil.
Your position will be eliminated.
Yeah. So, we're downsizing and you've been downsized. Yeah. I mean, now
You've
there
been
are
on terminal leave. Yeah.
There are corporations in there that I wouldn't say they understand that making their employees happy can be more productive. Vizon just doesn't care.
All right.
So evil Troy and evil Worf want to have a conversation.
That's right.
And nothing can ever be set to stun. That's just not a setting that exists.
And this is these are some guys from Arrow, which is the assault, recon, and rescue operations wing. They're kind of like the Coast Guard and U.S. Marshals combined.
Okay.
There's not enough. The whole
Ronnie!
The whole conceit about the setting is there's not enough big military to cover the blood after the war, so they kind of made these guys they have like ships with 20 guys, a couple shuttles, and they kind of patrol out there and take care of every little thing they can, and that's their sort of armor. That's a downgrade of the armor. That's the old armor from before the war started. They get the leftovers.
Okay. So
why'd you make the leftover stuff look so cool?
I know they probably are a little disgruntled about that too.
Because the Star Marine armor looks even cooler.
Oh my god!
Largely inspired by riffs.
Ooh.
Look at this ship.
So that is I think we called that one the Manta class ship. It flies, the way it's just flying to the left, tail in the back.
Yeah.
And that is that's a 2-deck ship. The way we set up Saints and Synners is when you make your characters, you also put your crew together and you pick a crew edge, but everyone gets a ship. And so I wanted to have some ships drawn up. So I have 2 ships drawn, and technically I have 3, but we'll see if I get the 3rd one redone as well. So
and this is why the sci-fi companion is really important for Saints and Sinners.
Yeah.
It's going to cover a lot of the stuff that we include in this game, like starships, like energy weapons and blasters, and traveling hyper lanes and things like that.
Yeah.
How shields work. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. That is a Psi Commando. So what I wanted to have with Psionics was I didn't want it to be like you can do everything. So you have Psi Commandos and then you have Psyops. Psyops to the telepathy. Gotta use my syllables. And Psi Commandos, they can focus. You see her arm where she's holding up like that. That's the gauntlet allows her to focus her psychic powers to do things like Psi Commandos generally turn their powers inward for like boost trait. So they can jump farther, climb farther. But when they want to attack like an enemy outside, they focus their psionics through there's a crystal in there that lets them do like a telekinetic blast.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's very
I will kill you with mind bullets.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, it's a little bit Psylocke in the
I love that.
The sci-fi there.
And that's just one of the. So I want to do I'm doing like a couple of pre-gens, male, female types of each, and I did the humans for the Psi Commandos. So
now, to be clear, like this book is going to be full color. Like all of these pictures are black and white.
These are just the new ones
because they're new.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see the picture behind Brandon is full color, and I hope there's some full color ones in this selection.
No, these are the ones that we've got showing off right now are just the new ones. Because if you like what you see here and want to see more full color ones, they're all on the Peg stream where I talked with you guys about Saints and Synners. We had a ton of full color art that we showed off in that one.
That's true. Yes. You can also see the full color art at StarAnvilStudios.com.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, lots there too.
Go to StarAnvilStudios.com right now, but keep the stream running so that
So this right here, what is this species called?
Nakira. The one that Billy Berserker is going ape over because that's like his favorite species ever. That's actually that's my wife's bounty hunter.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, she was very upset with me at the last con because I have pre-gens for the Saints and Synners jumpstart I run, and she's like, "But where's my Nakira?" I'm like, "I don't have one. It's not part of the jumpstart." She says, "But there will be next time, right?"
Right. Yeah. That's not the right answer.
There will be one next time. Yes, you can play when every con when we run. So I will have.
Have you ever wanted to be Man-Bat, but in sci-fi?
Yes.
Then you can.
How many races? There are more than 9.
More than 9? But Ross, can I be Batman well?
I guess that depends on you, doesn't it?
It does. Probably. I got to keep pulling the comments down. Otherwise, Landauer just becomes the next person that leaves a comment.
Now, that ship was done by Rusted Gear Art and Cosplay, and he does Star Trek ships. Like he does the Enterprise by hand, little people in the cutaway drawing, super detailed. And I showed this picture to Daryl Hayhurst. He said, "Can we talk to him?" And I said, "Maybe."
My finder's fee is very reasonable.
I'm like, I just need to get a little chunk of change, guys. I mean, come on. But yeah, he did.
Can you wait a minute before stealing my ideas, Peg, please?
He did a great job of really showing
this thing is fantastic.
So initially, those long antenna-looking things were going to be cannons, but I'm going to make it, since it's a scout ship, those are going to be sensors. He filled in some conceptual ideas there, but those will actually be planetary sensors. So that ship will hold, I think I designed it to fit the average party. So 5 to 6 people, that's the idea, that you can, more than 6 players is too many. So I kind of let's make the ship so it holds 6 characters. For the average group, that should be enough.
Right.
And the sci-fi companion should have you covered for all of those starship needs.
Oh yeah, and a lot of new ancestry and ancestry abilities to put together all of the species of your dreams.
Like this fellow here.
Like this guy here.
Like the Zaka.
It's almost like Ross and I used to have a show that we used to do together. If only.
I like these guys. One of the guys, Daryl Hardy, that's his character. In the game that I'm running, he plays that one. That's an engineer, particular character, and he liked them because the way we have them set up is I forget what the name we gave it to, but they have a saying that they don't believe that any position is lowly. It's just they have the warrior group, the builder group, whatever, and then there's those who do what must be done. It's just someone has to have that job, and it's just as important as this job. It must be done. So cool. You're the guy you're a janitor, but it needs to be done. It's not lesser than my job. It's the job that must be done. They're very logical that way. So
awesome. And all right, so this last picture that we have, this is going to be a stretch goal. You told me.
Yes.
So this has this race been seen before, or
no?
Is this...
It's the first time. A couple of my friends and close people have seen it, but not I have not put it up on our Facebook or anything, so it'll only be seen here.
All right, well, we won't show that off.
If you're just seeing it now, you're not Brandon's friend.
Yes.
No. So, all right, here we go. Tell us about these guys.
So they're they're kind of based off of I saw Meerkats. I said, I need the little tiny race of engineers who can run through the ductwork, and they travel in large ships, generally speaking. I mean, obviously they can be individuals if you play them and such, but colony-wise, they'll be in a large ship and they'll show up in a star system we're here to fix whatever you need. And it's like a celebration when they show up, because they show up to outpost colonies. They swarm the colony and fix things, and people love them because they do it quick. They just come in like a mass of engineers and fixing stuff kind of thing.
I call them the Gadge.
They maybe kind of want to sit up like this and kind of just take.
Yeah, you got to kind of peek around. Put your hands up, but yeah.
That's awesome. Now, we won't hold you to anything that's not a legally binding statement in any way, shape, or form. And if you need to, we're 30 minutes into this stream. So if people ask you about it, you can just point them to this video and we'll timestamp it. This is not legally binding in any way, shape, or form, but do you have a Saints and Synners window this year that you're hoping to throw a dart at and hit?
In a perfect world, by October.
What about in a secret world?
Oh, can't tell you that one. But
yeah, not set in stone, but we'd love to have it Kickstarter by October.
Possibly sooner. It really depends on the other two projects. When we have to deliver the 5e Secret World, which is very close. We've got it on track. Once that's out,
just a little more. Just a little
once
more
that's
work.
out, we're ready to do Savage Secret World because we had the art, the writing. It was really close.
Awesome.
So yeah, and Enemies Unleashed just needs layout. It's done, and Saints and Sinners is 95% done because I had to color some art and a couple last little details I want to put in there.
I like this guy's comment, Cryptrite. He says, Meerkat, more like Engineer Cat, am I right?
Oh, Cryptrite. Okay, so I know we've talked a lot about Saints and Sinners, and I'm very excited about that. But there are a couple of other projects that are on the outer rim, the near future of Star Anvil Studios. You want to tell us about a couple of those?
I can help you out with at least one of those.
Go for it, Ross.
Okay, so another thing the Sci-Fi Companion is going to be great for is a product we've got called Dominions of Steel.
Yes.
Dominions of Steel is a game about giant stompy robots and feudal lords. It is a combination of BattleTech and Game of Thrones just mashed together. It's going to be lovely. So in the far future, mankind has discovered a dwarf galaxy and settled it. And that galaxy has since been cut off from the rest of from Terra during a massive war. So what remains in this galaxy are the feudal lords, the scavenger lords, as we call them, that have risen to control the Sagittarium expanse. You, as the player, you play as the members of a noble house that serves one of these great lords, and it is up to you to guide your house. And the knights who drive your giant robots are dragoons, a dwarf galaxy, not a dwarven galaxy. It's up to you and your knights to advance the cause of your house in spite of all the attempts of your rivals or enemies or pirates or other things that may be around in the galaxy to try and stop you.
Awesome.
And that is completely written and edited, and we even have we showed off a cover piece. We're not sure that's the final cover. And really, it's just a case of getting the artwork and layout, and that's ready to roll. So
very cool. And then there's the one that I'm super. Oh, go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
I say we have so much lined up already. It's just we got to finish one so we can start rolling through them all.
I know we've been stacking up. I've been waiting for one. We've been working on the other, and then we're working on another, then working on another. So they're all just in this big line, ready to go out the door, just one after the other.
Yeah, this is why we want to have you guys on. Like I think of everybody who's an ace, who's just like waiting on the Sci-Fi Companion to have that like done. It's like, please open the floodgates. We have several things that need this to be done before we can be done. So.
And then there's the one you're interested in.
That's the one I'm super excited about.
That's the one that's the farthest out. It's going to be like the Sci-Fi Companion for you. He's ready for Knights Arcanum. So,
yes, Knights Arcanum, which is superheroic fantasy through the lens of 80s cartoons.
Yes.
It's going to have rules for mascots. It's going to have legally distinct versions of some of your favorite Saturday morning folks. The Knights Arcanum themselves are essentially superheroes. They are imbued with power from the dead gods that gives them all these crazy abilities that they use to deal with villains and the Netherites, which are creatures from an infernal dimension, and the necromancers and all these, like a Skeletor type.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And some of the vehicle designs we've got are like straight out of like old Mattel catalogs. I mean, it looks like it would fit right in.
Awesome. Now I just need specialized rules so that when we put the figures out on the board, they can have the little battle damage when they get hit, that chest plate rotate through.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, Civil Savage. I'm going to need a Star Anvil Studios shelf.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
I think for me, I'm always looking at like, what do I think fits into Knights Arcanum, as long as we've had more time to contemplate it. And I'm like, I really want to, and I'll see if you can pick up what I'm thinking here. There should be a group called the Thunder Clans, although I'll have to maybe find
Thunder Clans.
And then, I think the Illuminates would be great.
Ooh,
Illuminates, yes.
It's like you have a vision of characters with magic
they're
light.
knights of the magical light. Yeah,
That's right.
But they're legally distinct.
Legally distinct. I mean, I think I love. I mean, the
and or parody /
there you go. It's a parody. The mascot we did, the first one we did, I think turned out fantastic in that it really gives a certain you get the feel it's an Orko-esque character in the sense he floats around, but he's mechanical, and we got a really cool dynamic that Ross. I mean, I bounced some ideas off of him. He said, "Hey, why don't we do this? Let's make it so that it there's it can affect when you use it in the plot. It can kind of generate. Was it
there's the Benny, and then there's the determination, which is the bigger Benny.
So conviction then.
Conviction. So if you interact with the mascot once per game and sort of help your mascot realize something about themselves or the world, then you get a conviction for it. You get that cool Super Benny because
awesome.
It encourages you as the group to be like, you want to actually have the bumbling mascot around. You don't necessarily want to send him away. Like, oh, get out of here. You suck. No, instead it's we're like, well, maybe if we explain to him why we're doing it this way, he'll learn that protecting people is good. The next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
sometimes I interact with my mascot too much. So,
that's really good. Right.
You'll go blind.
Knights Arcanum came about because when Saints and Synners was really running along, I was getting a lot of progress in writing. I had a lot of time off, and I was getting the art and everything. And then, unfortunately, back at that time, Zach Dolan, who did most of the original art for Saints and Synners, passed away. This was a number of years ago. And then I was like, I don't want to do this project anymore. I was really upset.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I was like, well, I got this idea I'll do for and my friend Salt will tell you, my one-shot ideas turn into this. I started writing notes, and I actually have a physical notebook. I won't write ideas in a thing. I started writing in 60 pages in. I was like, well, I guess it's a setting. So, and then I hired Ross, and we started writing, and that's kind of how, like I said, that's how we ended up working together. So because of Knights Arcanum, Ross and I are partners now in Insanity.
Well, you've got a great lineup. Like, everyone in the chat is super excited about all of these things that are coming out.
Thank you very much, chat. We're super excited to show it to you.
Yeah, we are dying to get it out. And if you ever want to pop into the Discord and want to ask me questions about Saints and Synners, I love talking about me. So, I'm there.
Do you got a link that we could put into the chat?
I'm sure I can get one.
While he does that, go check out the Sci-Fi Companion. Ross has mentioned it quite a bit. I did not even have to pay him to do that. It was wonderful.
Well, it's like you said, we have done shows together quite a bit.
That's
so
right.
I knew where you were coming
That's right.
from.
It's almost like we were sitting around a campfire sometime telling stories to each other.
Like a campfire, exactly.
That's right.
Let me try that again, because that'll probably expire.
If you put it in the private chat, I can. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, getting the link pulled. I always do that. I always send an expiring link because it defaults to that, and then I'm like, "Why didn't you join?" Oh, well, it didn't work. What? Oh, dang it.
Yeah, I gotta go back and I gotta do it from my phone. I know how to do that better. My phone, the one that doesn't expire.
Anyway,
that's not the best feature of Discord is even having those links. Like Discord, no, that's the thing you can not do. Like just static links to your things, please.
Woot! We Degenerate with Dice just said they backed the Sci-Fi Companion.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're excited to do a lot more stuff with the Savage community. I, of course, have been a Savage fan for a really, really long time, and I'm like the guy who's always telling Brandon, well, we should do more Savage Worlds. Let's do more Savage Worlds. And we're excited. I know that a lot of people are going to be, at least I hope a lot of people are going to be interested in the Enemies Unleashed thing, because that's kind of a test balloon for us. We're going to see, like, hey, is there enough interest in superhero stuff for Savage Supers? And if there is, we've got a lot more we can do, like a ton. I have so many ideas. It's crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, Ronnie, I agree. You can never have enough.
All right, I am putting that link into the chat right now. Go join the Star Anvil Studios Discord server and get to hang out with these guys more often. Like,
yeah, and I do have a feeling there's an interest in Savage Supers because you all sold us out of the first print run of the superhero companion already, and we just got the second one back in stock. Like we don't ever want to be out of stock. Like that's kind of like the soon thing. Like we're very happy you sell us out before we have a chance to do inventory and see where our numbers are. Cough cough OGL, thank you. But yeah,
Well,
the going out of stock on anything, especially that new, but the speed in which everybody ate through the sci-fi companion was more than we had guessed, even knowing how crazy things were recently. So
there's a question about will Star. I guess he's asking about Saints and Synners.
Saints and Synners, yeah.
Will Saints and Synners have a custom character sheet and ship sheet? Brandon?
Possibly, likely, yes. I have no promises until we get to that part.
And if I may, I'd like to mention just a couple of guys that worked on Enemies Unleashed with us.
Go for it.
So I don't know about you guys out there. I'm a little on the older side, and I liked a lot of superhero products from the 80s and 90s. So I reached out to a couple of people that I have stayed in touch with. Bill Coffin, who wrote Century Station for Heroes Unlimited.
Yeah.
And Gramercy Island for Century
I
Heroes
love
Unlimited.
Bill Coffin's works. Like,
Well,
he was my favorite.
He wrote stuff for me.
That's
in Enemies
fantastic.
Unleashed. And if you are an old school Champions fan, you probably remember Scott Heine, who wrote stuff like Serve and Protect or Mind Games. Scott also created characters for Enemies Unleashed. So,
Damn it, Ross, just take my money.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Bill Keys, who has done a lot of stuff for Prowlers and Paragons, has also written some bad guys for Enemies Unleashed. So we have a lot of
Gyre.
Yeah, Widening Gyre for Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
So a lot of recognizable names in Enemies Unleashed.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna take off. I'm just saying. I'm putting it out here. That one's gonna take off. So.
Please.
Oh man,
It's
we'll
gonna
hit it on the
explode.
newsletter. We'll hit it
gonna
on
make,
Savage Universe. Like
10,000 backers.
See, that's the thing we need to see is like the guys. People have these things called minimum print runs, and so the more backers, the better, especially for Ace products, so they can afford to get them printed in like the nice places that do the best quality.
Yeah,
so
that's
Studio 2.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. Like right now we're doing print on demand because we don't know, we put out when we put out Savage Secret World, it's going to be print on demand. If we get 500 backers, it'll always be print on demand. You know what I mean? But if we get 3,000 or 4,000 backers, that's a different world for us. And that's just, who knows what we'll get, what the interest is. But I mean, that's when we see that kind of demand, we can then choose to go another way on the next project and say, hey, look, we have that kind of following. I mean,
right, and that's a number outside of our industry. Like, sadly, has nothing to do with RPGs. Like, getting to 1,000 print run is a big price break just in printing in general.
Yeah.
Right. And, so it's nothing for like a mid-sized high school's yearbooks to get 1,000. But for the RPG industry, that has nothing to do with that kind of numbers.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I mean, and you guys do quality enough work to justify full offset printing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That. And we really want to see some of these books like that. I mean, that would be the greatest thing to put it on your shelf. I mean, for Saints and Synners, I hope we'll know after Secret World, Enemies Unleashed. I'd like to do Benny's, Dice, the whole 9 yards, but we'll see.
Get a nice box set kind of
action deck.
That's action deck. I mean, we want to do the whole package for it. I mean, I can't say enough how when I started wanting to make my own setting, Saints and Synners started off as an alternative campaign I was going to run at home. Spent a while.
Wow.
Started off a while ago, and it was going to have 36 adventures back when I used to play 8 hours, 2 days a week, 8-hour sessions. Nowadays it's not that, but it's Savage Worlds. And what I see in Savage Worlds made me go, this is what I want to design it for. So that's why I've been writing for it for so long. And then, now to finally be able to get to where we can do a really quality product and then, to be an ace to do it versus, put it out as a fan product, which is not a bad thing, but it allows me to do a Kickstarter and maybe get the physical stuff that I want to do. And that's what I'm excited for that. It's only been 20 plus years for me to get here.
We're exploring different options to allow people to explore the world of Saints and Synners, like novels, like comic books. It would be really cool to be able to spread this out.
That would be awesome.
Beyond just a tabletop game.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's going to be a really good tabletop game, but there you go.
Well, very cool, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on and talking about this. Landauer, thanks for jumping in and visiting.
Could not come say hi to Ross and Brandon.
That's right. We'll be back next week at the normal time, which is 7:00 Eastern. If you showed up on time, it's because you cleverly deciphered the
which of the 14 social media posts I ended up putting
that's right.
out
Yeah,
about-
no, like you just had to it was like multiple image. You knew exactly
Multiple choice.
which target to strike. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking with Maria of Goblin Games, talking about Hellline, their science fiction setting, and that'll, I think, bring us to the end of our science fiction celebration. And then I think, Landauer, we're doing the Fast Furious February
Wrap
Fast
up,
Fun
yeah.
Furious February recap at the end of that. So awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for showing up. It's always great to see the fact that we have 20 plus people hanging out with us on a Thursday night. We're going to be back in a week. And until then, go play some Savage Worlds. Go roll some dice and may all of them ace. Till next time, have a good one.